we actually have some Major League Baseball news, and for once, it's actually not the worst deal ever. This is actually a step in the right direction. Baseball might be coming back soon. Soon with an asterisk, though, because, I mean, it's kind of relative. Like, the regular season probably wouldn't start for like a month plus, but it is still in the possibility that we get baseball in July. And for me, for this channel, for fans of baseball, for the sport, that's amazing. We need baseball back as quickly as possible. So I'm gonna go over all the news, the new proposal, all the details and information in that, as well as give my opinion, my thoughts on what I think about the deal and proposal, what impact it's gonna have on Major League Baseball, just kind of break down the entire thing. So as always, if you guys do enjoy it, make sure to drop a like on the video. That's the best way to support the channel. Subscribe if you're new and you like baseball content. Click that sub button, join the team. Get in the comments down below. I want to have a conversation with you guys. Let's talk. Do you think this is a good deal for the players? Do you think this is a bad deal for the players? And don't forget, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at GiraffeNeckMarc. Links in the description. You can extend the conversation there. I'm always tweeting, talking, posting about baseball. So last night, Rob Manfred, Tony Clark, they met in Arizona. Tony Clark flew in. Apparently, like, they had a little meeting last night, maybe a little dinner, a little wine and dine. They talked. They then met again this morning in Arizona because they needed to get this situation fixed. We know about the absolute botch job that Rob Manfred has done recently in the eye of the public, saying 100% unequivocally there'll be a baseball season, and then like 48 hours later saying like, well, I don't know about that. Looked like a fool, let's be honest. Let's call it for what it is. That was a bad look, and it has completely taken away what seems like any leverage the owners had over the players, because the players said, okay, let's have the season. Enact that 48 game rule that you can do because of what we signed in March. Let's start the season right now. Why aren't we starting it? Rob Manfred, the owners, they lost their leverage right then and there, because if they play that 48 game season, they're going to basically end in what, August? And if you're going to end in August, why didn't we also play in September, which is what the normal Major League Baseball season goes to? Why only 48 games? Raises a lot of questions. The owners would look terrible. Major League Baseball would look terrible. Not a good look. So basically what happened is Rob Manfred made an oopsie, and now he's trying to fix it. So that's good for the players. That's good for us as fans. The oopsie is going to help us get baseball back. John Heyman this afternoon then broke Twitter. The reason I know that it's broken is because I'm blocked by John Heyman, and I still saw his tweet, which is a little bit weird, but the Sauce Boss has some magic powers, let's be honest. And while his tweet wasn't 100% accurate, his wording was off a bit. He said that Major League Baseball, the Players Association, are closing in on an agreement to start the 2020 season. While that's not necessarily true, it's also not necessarily wrong. Now, there is no agreement in place. The MLBPA, the MLB, they have not agreed to start the season just yet, but we do finally have what feels like the first ever actual offer from Major League Baseball. They came back, they're negotiating finally. This is like the best standing that the two have ever been in this year so far. Major League Baseball came back with a new deal, and here's what it looks like. 60 game season, full prorated salaries, which is big for the players. That's always what they've been fighting for, and that's what I think they should get. And there would also be expanded playoffs. So with those 60 games at a full pro rate, that's still going to be a pretty large pay cut to the players. Now, of course, they were going to be about 50% at their highest. If they did like the 81, 82 game schedule, they were going to make 50% of what their actual contract was supposed to this year due to proration. With the 60 game schedule, they're going to make about 37% of what their original contract's going to be. So still not great, but we're moving in at least the right direction. Still low. This isn't going to be accepted by the players. They're going to need to find a middle ground between that 82 and that 60 game thing. Maybe 69. Nice. This is an improvement on what we've seen from the owners in the past. This is a step in the right direction. The way that it's being described right now is basically that they are taking steps in the right direction. These are the most positive that the talks have been. This is the most in-depth that they've been. They're finally getting in a room with each other, talking face to face, not just through emails and not through leaking things to the media. They're trying to make it as clean, not so ugly as they made it all the time before, essentially airing their laundry to the public, making everything public information, leaking stuff, putting out rumors that aren't true, putting out things that aren't right. The wording was all wrong. We're finally getting down to what feels like a real negotiation here. We talked about the 60 games. They would play 60 games in 70 days, so that would give a total of 10 off days for the players. I've already mentioned how they're not going to agree to the 60 games, but they're also not going to do the 82. So maybe a good middle ground is like that 65 to 75 range. Buster only thinks 65 is probably a real possibility. I'm not sure where I stand. Like I said, 69, nice. That would be the best one. Manfred did give a statement today after the meetings with Tony Clark, and while again the wording is just like, it's Rob Manfred, you kind of know what you're getting, at least it seems like it is moving forward. That is the biggest thing, because for the last few months, it has been a stalemate. The owners want to pay them nothing. The players want to get as much as possible, and this just hasn't changed. So here's what Rob Manfred had to say. At my request, Tony Clark and I met for several hours yesterday in Phoenix, Manfred said Wednesday. We left the meeting with a jointly developed framework that we agreed could form the basis of an agreement, and subject to conversations with our respective constituents, I summarized that framework numerous times in the meeting and sent Tony a written summary today. Consistent with our conversations yesterday, I'm encouraging the clubs to move forward, and I trust Tony is doing the same. So that's something we haven't heard from Rob Manfred. We haven't heard him talking about insisting that the clubs move forward, start to look towards the 2020 season. We've been hearing that it's either going to happen under that 48 game thing. Manfred's just going to put it out there and force the players to play, or he's saying that the owners are completely okay with having no season, and that that's a real possibility, that like, hey, they don't need to have a season. They don't really want to, and I'm okay with that. So at least Manfred's like, I'm going to push them forward. I'm going to say, let's go with a plan, something like this. Let's move towards getting more games, more revenue, expanded playoffs, all that kind of stuff. So there's been different rumors about what the expanded playoffs are going to look like. Obviously, right now, Major League Baseball, we have 10 teams in the playoffs every single year, 5 from the National League, 5 from the American League. Right now, it looks like the expanded playoffs is going to be 16 teams, which is a lot. Not a fan of a 16-team playoff, and you'll see why in a second. But if that means getting baseball back in 2020 and possibly even in 2021, who knows what's going on then, right before the CBA, I would be fine with baseball being a little bit weird with the playoffs. I mean, the Mets would make the playoffs probably every year, which is a big plus for me, because I think if the Mets make the playoffs, they're dangerous. But, you know, that's enough of me being a biased Mets fan. Regardless, though, if there is a season this year, you are going to see expanded playoffs. That seems like it's a big part of this deal. MLB is going to make more money from the TV revenue through the playoffs and being more games on TV. Teams are going to make more money. It's a win-win kind of for everybody at this point, especially when you are talking about trying to maximize as much revenue and money as possible. You need to have more teams in the playoffs. So last year in the 10-team playoff, of course, in the National League, you had the Nationals, you had the Braves, you had the Cardinals, Brewers, and you had the Dodgers. And in the American League, you went Yankees, Rays, Twins, Oakland A's, and Houston Astros. Now, if you expand it to 16 teams, 8 teams in each league, which is what it feels like it would probably be, I can't imagine that they just say, screw the leagues, we're just going to pick the best 16. I think that they would probably still split it up league by league. In the American League, you would see the Indians, the Red Sox, and the Rangers make the playoffs if these rules were in place last year. The Rangers would be under 500, which is an interesting inclusion. They won 78 games last year. So, like, because as much as it would help a team that I like, the Mets, I mean, we would make the playoffs pretty much every year. We're right around that top half of the National League. You do get some really bad teams in there, like the Rangers last year at 78 and 84. They have no business being in the playoffs. In the National League, you would add the Mets, you would add the Diamondbacks, and you would add the Cubs. All of those teams, I think, are good enough to be in the playoffs, but then you do get a scenario where in the American League, you get the Rangers, who clearly are not a playoff team. So that's my issue with it. But if it means, like I said, I've said this from the start, if that means we're getting baseball in 2020, 2021, I'm in. We talk about it in the next collective bargaining agreement. I'm sure we're going to see an expanded playoffs, maybe not 16, but maybe we go 12. I like keeping the playoffs small. It's one of the things that baseball is unique with as opposed to other sports. It feels like other sports just allow everybody in, but I'm going to stay consistent. If we get baseball back, I don't care. I need baseball back badly. I am losing my mind here. Now, for the details, that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot to go on here. We have a little bit of information. We know how many games are being proposed. We know about the expanded playoffs. We know about the prorated salaries. Those are the big details that are going to be important. We still don't know how the players are going to deal with health stuff. What's going to be travel like? What are going to be the quarantine situations? What if a player gets sick? There are still a lot of logistics that have not been talked about to the public, at least, and who even knows if they've talked about that yet. They still need to get the money down before they even move on to this next stuff, because it feels like that's the biggest issue right now, is going to be money. For me, how am I feeling after reading this? How am I feeling after seeing this news? I'm very optimistic. You asked me a couple days ago, I thought there was no shot that we were having baseball, but the players have stepped up. The association has looked so strong. All the players coming out. Guys that you don't see use their Twitter. Mike Trout yesterday calling out Rob Manfred. Tell us when and where. It might seem like it's just a little bit of a PR stunt, a little bit of a ploy, but really, the strength of numbers that the MLBPA shown against Rob Manfred, against the comments that he's had, is one of the reasons why we are starting to see this push now late into July. Manfred made a mistake, and if the players weren't speaking up about it, if the news wasn't speaking up about it, if everyone kind of just went quiet and took his words for what he said again, this would not be a problem. But the optics on Major League Baseball right now are probably the worst that they've been in a very, very long time. People want to see baseball, and it looks like baseball doesn't want to come back. Even though I disagree with this sentiment, there are people that think the players are too greedy because they're asking for more money, even though they don't know what prorated means. They think that prorated means no pay cut, even though it does. That's a bad look. Even if I disagree with it, that is still a perception the public has. It's just wrong. The owners don't want to play baseball. That looks bad. I mean, there was a conversation or a tweet, I don't remember who put it out, but there was something about owners talking about how, like, most of them don't even really like baseball. They don't want to. They don't even care about owning a major league team that much. They want to save as much money as possible. And it's just a bad look for baseball. You don't have guys that own major organizations in your league who even like the sport or care about their team. That's a massive problem. And then, of course, you got the commissioner saying things like, we're going to 100% have a season, and then a couple hours later going, hey, maybe I wasn't right. I don't know what 100% or unequivocally means, but I'm feeling optimistic. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling that we are going to have a season in 2020. I've been flip-flopping so much in this craziness that's been going on, this coronavirus off-season extension of spring training. I don't even know what to call it, but I've been flip-flopping, and I'm back on the side of optimism, because let me tell you, like I said a few days ago, I really thought there was no shot we were playing this year. I thought we were done, and that was looking very, very scary for the game of baseball, this channel, a lot of different things. But I'm feeling optimistic. I think we're going to get games. I'd love to know what you guys think about it down in the comment section below. Do you think we're going to play in 2020? Do you think this is a good deal? Let me know your thoughts and opinions. I'm going to be in the comment section talking to people today for like the first 30 minutes after this video goes live. So drop a comment down there if you want to have a chance to have a conversation. Remember to leave a like on the video as well. Subscribe, all that stuff. The support has been incredible recently on the channel. There was so much hype around the MLB draft, which I've never really covered before, and you guys seem to enjoy it. So thank you for that. We know we'll be doing that for the future on this channel for a long time. The draft was a lot of fun. And I think that's kind of all I have to talk talk about today. Gonna come back tomorrow with a pretty good video. I got something planned for you. We might be revisiting the top 10s of the 2010s because I did never finish it, so keep an eye out for those. Otherwise, gonna wrap it up there. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video as well as this is my most recent upload, so click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all tomorrow for another video. Bye!